Hey, what's going on, good people? Welcome into the Delmarva Sports Insider, the only live and local show dedicated to giving you all local sports all the time. I'm Sports Director Trayvon Miles.
And I'm Brandon Bossert, the best team on the shore,
That's right.
bringing you everything that you need to know.
Exactly right. Welcome into another episode of DSI. Tonight, we're introducing a different angle, if you will, Brandon.
That's right, Trey. We've gone through all the seasons on Delmarva from the past year, but now it's time to really shift our focus to what could be coming up in the near future, because we've got some news to talk about.
Yes, exactly right. We're talking everything on the diamond this week. That's because there could be a light at the end of the tunnel. We could be on the verge of seeing baseball returning in our lives.
Oh, thank goodness, Trey. This is the second week of talks between baseball owners and the Players Association. We've got some good news coming out of baseball so far, but we're not through the woods yet. We're talking about a plan that would see the national pastime return just in time for the 4th of July.
Yeah, how awesome would that be? I was talking with a coach about that earlier. The proposal is still in the works, and there are still big issues to hammer out. And of course, Brandon, that is what? That's money, always, right? It's always a sticking point, but right now the framework is an 82-game season, and the DH coming to the National League. Also 10 or 14 playoff teams expanded from the normal 10.
That's right, and I don't know if you're into the DH in the National League. That's something that I really don't want to see happen, but it looks like it's inevitable, Trey.
Yeah.
And of course, money is probably the biggest obstacle here, but the health and safety of these players is also huge in these negotiations. The owners have introduced a 67-page safety protocol, and MLB is set to come back to the players with a new economic proposal on Tuesday, so things are definitely moving forward.
Yes.
And we've already seen baseball in Taiwan and South Korea played without fans. It looks pretty fun, actually.
KBO is pretty fun, I'm not gonna lie.
Especially with those robot fans.
Yes.
And they seem to be having some success. And it's sports, so even without fans, I'm going to watch.
Yeah, even at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? But what about our local professional team right here in Salisbury, the Delmarva Shorebirds? What is going on over at Arthur W. Purdue Stadium, and what might a minor league season look like?
We're planning for a variety of scenarios that could happen that we really don't know the answer to.
Purdue Stadium remains quiet despite the arrival of Memorial Day. As Major League Baseball looks to the possibility of playing in front of empty stadiums, minor league teams like the Shorebirds remain in the dark.
If we're allowed to play, are we allowed to play on a reduced capacity? What might that look like? How might that feel? What type of technology do we need? What type of signage?
There's communication between minor league teams about how plans could take shape. So what could an experience at Purdue Stadium look like in 2020?
Face mask, obviously that's what, is needed to happen. That'll continue, obviously. See people seated separately from each other and keeping that 6-foot distance. There's a lot that goes into it.
Minor league affiliates depend on the revenue coming in from fans at the gates, and measures will be taken to limit possible exposure as much as possible, such as expanded use of mobile ticketing, mobile parking, and even mobile concessions.
That once we're able to play, we're going to take care of them, and whatever that means for the future, we're going to take care of our fans, and they know that, and that's why they've been so patient, I think.
But there is the possibility that if fans can't be welcomed back, there won't be a 2020 Sally League season. Despite this, though, the Shorebirds have been working to keep a presence in the community, with benefits held for Operation We Care, the United Way, and with more on the horizon.
Our concern hasn't been per se ourselves. We're really more concerned about how do we continue to be relevant and support our community. For us, we're a community organization, and we need the community to be successful.
For now, the first step to a minor league season is to get the major leagues back on the field.
At the end of the day, Major League Baseball is going to play before we play.
You know what? I'm glad Chris Bitter said that, because it's tricky with minor league baseball, and I always still think it's a long shot for the Shorebirds to come back, especially without fans, man. The concessions, the merchandise, the games in the park, the bouncy house, and all of that stuff you got to take into account is revenue for payroll, unlike the Major League Baseball teams who are still selling jerseys and still have season ticket money.
And they've got the TV deals.
Yeah, minor league baseball, completely different story.
Yeah, exactly. Like he told me, unless 47 ABC wants to pay them money and broadcast all of their games, they're going to need fans in the seats here. And it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to have a season in the first place. We have to see what happens with Major League Baseball first. But if they're not able to get fans in the stands safely, well, we're probably not going to see a minor league season this year. And what I wonder how that's going to work out is in 2021, if these minor league players don't play this year, they're not making that money, which it's not much, to be honest, in the first place, but then they also don't have a year of playing under their belt in 2020. What does that do for the minor league systems of these teams going forward if you have a bunch of players who are developing and they lose out on a year of playing? It's almost like having school children lose out on a year in middle school.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, and what we need to kind of pinpoint on right now, as far, we're still talking about the money right now, but there are players that need development right now that are not getting that. I think that's a very, very interesting story as far as minor league baseball goes.
Definitely. We're going to stay on the topic of baseball now. We're going to move on to our next story. Spring 2020 will forever be known as a season of what-ifs. For our seniors, it's a bitter pill to swallow, but for one senior, Dover's Dominic Velasquez, he's looking forward to the future and the next step of his baseball journey at the Division I level.
I'm just hard, blue-collar kid, always working.
A blue-collar kid who was destined to take his game and maybe the Dover Senators to new heights in 2020. Dominic Velasquez was ready to build off his junior campaign where he was named second-team All-State on the mound and at the hot corner.
I was expecting just to pick up back where I left off, but whenever I got back on the field, I was just going to give my team the best chance to win.
In an alternate universe, Velasquez would have followed his older brother John's footsteps playing baseball for rival Polytech.
And for the longest, my parents, they all thought I was going to go to Poly, but once I started getting older, I knew Dover is where I wanted to be.
Dover won out, and Coach David Gordon and his guys welcomed the young hurler.
When I came in freshman year, all the seniors, they were just open to me and brought me in as family.
Velasquez turned himself into one of the elite pitchers in the state of Delaware, but he had to overcome some adversity along the way.
First year at Central, which middle school, I broke my thumb. And then first year here, I broke with the same thumb again. I was kind of bummed about that, but then sophomore year I came back and that was when we had a playoff run, and I just tried to do everything I could.
His senior year may be gone, but Velasquez is getting ready for a new beginning as a pitcher with Division I, University of Delaware.
I've been working out with a lot of my friends that are in college already, and I've just been facing as many good hitters and college athletes as I can.
Now, Dominic has a 5-pitch arsenal that tops out at 91 on the gun, and he plans to study health behavioral science at the University of Delaware. Trey, what's coming up?
Yeah, Brandon, I have to say, Dom was one of my favorite players. Of course, we saw him on our top 10 list of spring athletes in Delaware. One of my favorite players to watch. Such a shame, as we said before, that season did not happen like we wanted it to. But that's going to do it for our A block. When we come back, we got a special guest checking in. Stick around. Well, you kind of see it a little bit. Stick around and see who it is when DSI returns.
I'm Brian Femi, head coach, St. Michael's High School. You're watching Delmarva Sports Insider.